Good day, everybody. I have Nancy Ries here with me, and Nancy is our parish treasurer, if you don't know. And you may not even know that we have a parish treasurer, but today we're doing a stewardship message, and what we want to concentrate on is worship and stewardship and how they tie together. But one of the things that I want to talk to before I hand it over to Nancy a little bit is that people choose a church for a variety of reasons. And one is the actual worship experience. And everybody here at Old Donation expects a certain level of worship experience when they come here to our different offerings. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy, and then we're going to get a little bit into the nitty-gritty of what is the cost of worship, so that you are aware as you think and pray about stewardship.
Yeah, thank you. So, a lot of people, when they're talking about stewardship, which is a word that sometimes just makes people turn and run, but one of the ways that we describe it is the use of your time and your talent and your treasure. Well, treasure is a thinly veiled euphemism for money. And we have been raised in this society really not to talk very much about money, but it's what makes the world go round. So today we want to talk about it. Jesus talks about money. The widow's mite, and it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. And we recently heard the gospel about the man who had so much, he had to build bigger barns, and God says to him, "You fool." Right?
The fool and his money.
And then recently we also heard about Jesus telling us to store our treasures not on earth where the thieves can break in and the moths can eat it, but to store our treasures in heaven where no thief can break in and no moth can destroy. So if Jesus talks about it, we can too.
Exactly. So that's what we want to do for you today. I was thinking about this the other day, Nancy, and it struck me that a lot of people hesitate in their prayer and their thoughts about stewardship, about what they will pledge to Old Donation each year, because that's what we're asking for, is your pledge when all of these stewardship messages are done. But a lot of people with money are scared about not having enough. It's the scarcity idea in our head that if I give to the church, I won't have enough for X or Y. If I raise my pledge this year over what it used to be, I'm not going to have enough. But then it made me think about the other time and talent, and we never think about scarcity when it comes to time and talent. Most people will say, "Oh yeah, I have time to do that, and I'm going to do that," or "I have this talent and I want to share it, and I'm thankful and blessed that I have this talent." And that scarcity idea doesn't run through those two like it does with the treasure, with the money part of that thought.
Right. You never think about, if I use my talent in this way,
I'm going to run out.
I'll run out. And don't they say, if you want something done, to ask a busy person?
Yes.
Because although time is the great equalizer, we all have the same amount of hours in a day, but how you use it reflects your priorities. And the same goes with your money.
Right. And many people with talent, they find that if they give it, they become more creative. They think of other ideas and other ways of doing things. So that thought was in my brain and struck me.
Right. So God promises that there will be that there will be enough to do the work that God is calling us to do.
Right.
And if we believe that promise, then we shouldn't get wrapped up in that fear of scarcity, but rather God wants for us an abundant life.
Right. And I'm thinking loaves and fishes and having enough and trusting and all of that's wrapped up together. So I want to start talking about, again, worship today, only worship, and what does our money go to? We want good worship, and here at Old Donation, we have different styles of worship that many of us go to the different services because we enjoy the different variety of how they are, from the 8 o'clock to the 5 o'clock with Random Acts and the gathering and in the church. They're very different styles, and most churches don't have all those offerings, but we're here, and part of the reason why we've chosen Old Donation is because of the worship experience. But there's more that is involved with having these styles that we have, because there are all of the unseen things. I want to start, okay, obviously we have the buildings.
Right.
We have our beautiful church. And now we have the beautiful Great Hall, and most places do not have two equally compelling worship spaces like we do. We are exceedingly blessed, and people gave their treasure to help us build the Great Hall in the back rooms. And that is a testament to your faith and your trust in Old Donation.
Right.
But to have the buildings, we have maintenance things. You know, we've got utilities. We want to be comfortable in worship. We want to be cool enough or warm enough, right? Because if we're not, we're all like, I'm so hot in here. What's going on? You know, we want good lighting. If it's not good lighting, it's a little bit disturbing on that. We want good sound.
Yes.
And so we have high quality speakers so that you can hear. We have very high quality mics that we use. I just want to draw attention, the mics that the clergy use, like I'm wearing today, and Nancy's wearing, we have the battery pack that is used. That pack alone is about $400. And it comes with a cheap little mic that we don't think is good enough. So we buy a separate mic to hook onto the battery pack. And that separate mic is about $200. And they don't last forever, folks. And we have battery packs here in the studio. We have them in the Great Hall, and we have them in the church, so that we're not constantly running around or saying, oh my goodness, service is now in the Great Hall and my battery pack is in the church. We have them in all places, so we're prepared for whatever we need to do, whenever we need to do it. We know that being able to hear worship is of utmost importance. If you cannot hear what is being said, why would you come to worship? You know,
Yeah.
it makes it
very
difficult,
important.
and it's very important. And you want to hear the music or the singers in a good manner. So
Right.
those things, we have spent a lot of money on those things. Internet for streaming, another utility. If we didn't have good internet, our streaming would be nothing. And we started out at the beginning of COVID. You will remember that when we started out, well, first it was in Tucker Hall, because it was
That's where we
immediate.
were.
And then we moved it to the church, but we only had Wi-Fi in the church at that time. And every Sunday, you know, everybody's at home and they're depending and they want to be part of church. We had a huge cable, a wooden cable thing that we unrolled to pull the cable from the building through the graveyard in the window of the church to hook everything up, so that we would have the line and not be depending on Wi-Fi that we knew could be inconsistent for you. So that taught us with COVID that we needed to have the church wired up, and that was a huge deal. That was a cost. But we have to pay for our internet and all of our network and everything to keep it going well.
Right.
With streaming and with printing words for songs that are in, when we don't use our hymnals or the other music books, if we print the words just separately, we have to declare those items for copyright purposes. Okay, Janet does this every week for us, for whatever we're doing at, in the combined service, because everything is printed, or for the 5 o'clock service, where they're singing things that are not in the hymnal, and it's a separate sheet of paper with the words. So, we have 2 companies that we have to declare these songs to. That costs money every year to own that license or to buy into that license so that we can declare them so that we are legal. Because if we're not legal, we're going to get caught, okay? And that's just not okay. We must declare. We also use another, which you may not even know, it's something called Wirecast in order to stream onto Facebook. We use a platform that is not inexpensive. And we have to buy that license every year, and we have 2 licenses for that, one in the Great Hall and one in the church, so that we can stream from either place at will. But these are hidden costs of worship that nobody would ever think about.
Right.
And your pledge goes directly to this.
It certainly helps.
I'm not sure that it's known by the majority of people that when we're making a budget in the late fall, we budget to what people have pledged to us. And some people will say, oh, I'm just doing what I did last year, is going to carry on. And we are grateful for that, but what we really need is for you to declare that pledge to us so that we can include that in our budgeting plans.
Yes.
I mean, you sit in on the budgets and
Yes.
you're aware of this.
Yes, and actually, the way that we do it at Old Donation is different than many churches who
Right.
will set their budget first and then ask the congregation to pledge to the budget.
Right.
We never do that because, again, we believe that God will provide those resources to do the work that God is calling us to do, and we never set out our plans until the pledges come in and we know what we have to work with.
Right.
So that's why it's important to pledge early, so that we have a better idea during the budgeting
Right.
season what we have, to work with. But it's a faithful way to do the budgeting, and we depend on your faithfulness and generosity.
Right. And part of making a pledge and making that declaration, it holds you accountable. That I've written this down, whether you've written it or entered it online. I've written this, and this is my true intention. But let me also say, we know life circumstances can change, and you change your pledge. You contact the accounting office, and they say, okay, we'll change it, or whatever.
Right. It's not.
So again, it's not to have a fear of scarcity, because God will provide in all of it. But I hope that this gives you some idea. Oh my gosh, I even forgot just the linens.
Well,
Nancy,
so
pull me back
yeah,
in.
I am, because you talked about the hidden things that most people don't know. But if you think about worship, you've got the bulletins. We go through reams and reams of paper.
Yes.
The copier costs money, a rental every month.
Yes.
And then when we get to the actual worship space, think about it. The linens, the vestments, the wine, the oil, the candles, everything
The
that
host. It all
that
costs money.
enhances our worship experience, that makes it what it is, we have to pay for.
Right, and even laundering the linens. I mean, just things you never think about, or buying new acolyte robes and things like that, or the new cinctures, which are the belts, the ropes that they tie around. I'm thinking in the Italian word here. All of these things cost us money, and it's your pledge that pays for this.
Right.
So that's what I want to get across, that it is your pledge. on that.
Frequently, and you will hear us throughout the through the pledge season. Stewardship season is all year round, but,
Yes.
but the pledge season is now in the fall.
Until November 2nd.
Until
technically.
November 2nd. We will remind you that your pledges are used for mission and ministry.
Yes.
Right, that all the commissions, again, depend on that so that they can set their budgets and things. But we seldom think about how those pledges also go to worship, which is what sets us apart
Absolutely.
from other organizations that are serving the community or doing social justice or
Other nonprofits.
other
right.
things. It's worship. That's why we're here.
Right.
And it
it's-
requires,
And that's why you're here.
and
for
that's
the
why
worship.
you're here.
Because if we had bad worship, you would not be here.
Right.
That's the baseline of it. So anyway, food for thought. Please accept all of this information and part of your prayer when you're thinking about stewardship as we continue to walk through the season together. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.
Okay, be well.